Hey folks, this is Dr. Combat64 and welcome to another album review. Technically this is not going to be like a compilation destination. This is a greatest hits. So, kind of want to, maybe do like a greatest hits review, whatever. So it doesn't have to be like a compilation destination, this is just a personal review. So last year I purchased this greatest hits by the man Bob Dylan. What a great artist he is. I got, into him last year. And, back in, high school and like middle school, I remember listening to like a Rolling Stone. I used to listen to that a lot. In fact, on rock stations or whatever, and I just thought, sounds so boring. I never really got into him. And then my dad in 2013, 2014 showed me a song by him. He's like, hey, this is a song that he kind of did, maybe a little bit better than, stuff from like the 60s or whatever, or the mid, early the mid 60s. This was like 69 or whatever. Lay Lady Lay. I'm like, oh wow, this is kind of a cool song. And then my brother got the album, so he was also kind of bought into Dylan and stuff, and he bought Nashville Skyline. The album that we have, it's not really in great condition, but for what it is, I guess it's okay for the most part. But it is what it is, So last year I was listening to like the 60s station, and they're playing this song that was kind of really raggy, kind of like, bar kind of, and ended up becoming like one of his big gigantic hits, like a Rolling Stone. It was, Everybody Must Get Stoned, and I was hearing Rainy Day Woman, and I saw the title, I'm like, wait a minute, what? I never knew like exactly what the title of the song was until I'm like, wait a minute, it's called Rainy Day Woman, number 1235? I never really kind of got into it, I really never knew the meaning. I guess it's, about a person who, I guess, is hated by other people. I don't know. But, and then all of a sudden, by the time Dylan's birthday came around, the Rolling Thunder review last year, the movie, whatever, I really got into Dylan all of a sudden. So I went to Barnes & Noble, and I know this album is like everywhere, this album, this Greatest Hits by Bob Dylan. I'm like, wait a minute. I've seen this thing a bunch of times at Target, and I got this copy specifically at 180 gram. It came with a code order. I guess you can get these songs digitally on a code, some website, or whatever. You can, whatever. So I got this at Barnes and Nobles, and it was like maybe like $24.99 with my dad's Barnes and Noble discount. And what a greatest hits! And then I bought into, not that I didn't buy any his albums or whatever, but except for actually I think last year I did buy John Wesley Harding, and I kind of got him more into his country kind of stuff. I really like to buy into more. That mono box I really want to get. So, but anyways, let's get into the review, shall we? And then the back here with all of his albums, which is really, really neat. You got Blonde on Blonde. You got I think that's Highway 61 Revisited. Another side about this is like, oh my god, what a greatest hits, right? Oh yeah, Bob Dylan, man, great artist, right? Alrighty, none of that jazz. Let's go ahead and get down to business with some history lessons here. Alright, so Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits. This was released on March the 27th, 1967. Went to number 10 here in the US album charts, and went a little bit more higher in the UK, hitting number 3. Got certified platinum, and became one of the most best-selling albums here in the United States. Isn't every Dylan album like that? Yeah, of course. Released after his motorcycle accident in July of 1966. So it was kind of 2 months, or it was about like maybe a month after Blonde on Blonde came out. So by that time, I Want You came on the charts. That was like a number 22 or 21 or whatever. So it was about like a 9-month gap there, and then he released this. The picture that was taken here, this famous picture here that everybody knows, and of course his album, this Greatest Hits, is like everywhere. Get it anywhere at any store, even at Walmart. I've seen this at Walmart too. This was taken back November the 28th during a concert in Washington, D.C. and it was taken by a guy named Bob Cato, and he won a Grammy for best album cover. So hey, grottos to you. This was released, of course, on Columbia Records, stereo, and yeah, greatest hits. This became one of the most fascinating greatest hits ever. So don't be confused, people. This is not a compilation destination. This is a personal review. So let's go ahead and get started. So here we go. The song that really got me into Dylan, which was almost a year ago. Rainy Day Woman, number 12 and 35. Everybody must get stoned. Those stony, So the song, I understand, is kind of like, about this depression and all that, and it could be, I guess, with a lot of people who may think it's mostly referencing the drugs, you know what I mean? I think that's what most people think the song may be about. I don't know. There's been hundreds and different stuff that's been talked about this song, but went to number 2. This was the first song ever. The first ever track on that opens Blonde on Blonde, and went number 2. So went to number 2 like a Rolling Stone did. So anyways, Rainy Day Woman off of Blonde on Blonde. Blowin' in the Wind. This came out in 1963. This was sort of the height. This was sort of the opening for Dylan. This is sort of like his his big gigantic hit, like Elton John, Your Song. A very well song. I really like Peter, and in fact I'll do another video, a list of covered Dylan songs. And I think Peter, Paul, and Mary, they do it really, really good too. But Dylan, he just takes it all the way with this song. Just such a beautiful, hey, my friend, it's blowing in the wind. This talks about a lot of personal stuff, you know what I mean? Like that whole album, The Free Willin', just so much, like a hard rain's gonna fall, and all that kind of stuff. It's just so interesting. This guy was such an interesting key player of songwriting, so Blown in the Wind. And then you get The Times They Are A-Changin'. Everybody covered this one. This is like the most covered song ever in the history. What I gotta say about this? Came off of the Times They Are Changin' album. Such a dark album. It's such a, and I know, hey, Calico Silver, I know I've seen a bunch of all of your Bob Dylan reviews, and I like how you, talked about the times that are changing, though. So that's awesome. But anyways, this is such a great song. Just hey, awesome song. Hey, Calico Silver. Ain't Me, Babe is the next one on here. Off of another side of Bob Dylan from 1964. For some reason, I never really bought into his version. Bought into, he wrote the song and stuff, but I never really got into his version. Johnny Cash did a version. A couple other artists did, like Joan Baez. But my favorite is the Turtles version of Ain't Me, Babe. The Turtles do a really, really good job. It's more like a poppy kind of version, which is interesting, that they kind of do that in a way. And the Turtles even covered Like a Rolling Stone and Love Mine is Zero. They actually did a really good job at the Byrds. Oh yeah, a lot of those folk bands, especially with the Turtles and stuff. They only kind of covered ground with folk a little bit, and during the early years. But anyways, yeah, it's probably one of the weakest. So next one is Like a Rolling Stone. What I gotta say, classic song, been covered many of times, but Dylan simply does it justice. Like I said back in the day. Or like I said, back in middle school and high school, I never really cared for Dylan. You know what I mean? I never thought he was interesting. He was kind of like, I hate to say it to Lou Reed fans out there, he kind of like a little bit like Lou Reed. I'm never really too much of a, but I don't know. But now that I got into more of his albums and stuff and, all this, that, and the other, just like, what a fascinating song, Like a Rolling Stone. It just talks about all these, about this girl, she's kind of like almost, invisible to her, there's no secrets to conceal, how does it feel to be on your own with no direction home, that's how he got the bass from the 1967 movie. Of course, this came out, I think this made the No Direction Home, I think That movie came a little bit after this, I think 2 months after. So, anyways. Side 2 starts off with Mr. Tambourine Man. And Like a Rolling Stone was off of Highway 61 Revisited. Mr. Tambourine went, hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, glaze on for me. What a great song. I do got to say the Byrds version is a little bit better. I know that they kind of shorted it out. But I think 1970 or whatever, it was like Beat Club or one of those television shows, they actually did do Bob Dylan's extended 5-minute version. The pop version they did, of course, was like 2-3 minutes. But this is an excellent song. I really like all the poetry. I like all the surreal stuff. It feels so real. It captures your everything with what you hear with Dylan. You know, it's so like imaginative, so like beautiful. Sometimes it makes me cry, you know. But anyways, Mr. Tambourine Man. Another one off of Bring It All Back Home. That was off of Bring It All Back Home. Here's another one. Subterranean Homesick Blues. Of course, I remember seeing the video many of times with him with the sign, you know. Johnny in the basement trying to make another medicine. You know, yeah. It's a fascinating song. I really like the, you know, the tension and the kind of like the bluesy kind of style of Dylan, you know. This is such an awesome, just like, you know, it's such a chugging bluesy song, you know, just like, you know, talks about all these different, you know, stuff that's happening at the time, you know, talking about this. It almost kind of deals with like drugs and stuff, I guess. Subterranean, I guess that kind of means like drugs, I guess. It's more like yet again another drug reference song. So anyways, really good song. I really like this, you know. And I do remember hearing this back in high school, but I never really, or middle school, never really bought into it. So I Want You is the next one. Another song I kind of recently, so it's so funny how I'd like all of a sudden now I'm getting on the Dylan train here, you know. So I Want You is the next one. This is off of Blonde on Blonde. Man, nice, lovely, like, do, 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 do. So I do hear a little bit, like, I don't know if any, I'm pretty sure everybody knows, you know, George Harrison, he's the Beatle. He came up with a song in 1973 called Gimme Love, Gimme Peace on Earth. And I know that, because Bob Dylan, I mean, Harrison and Dylan were like best friends. I mean, they ended up forming the Traveling Wilburys and all that in the late 80s. What a fascinating song, though. It actually kind of reminds me a little bit of Gimme Love, Gimme Peace on Earth. It sounds a little bit like that. And I think maybe Harrison may have, you know, heard the song and be like, hey, you know, I can do something like that. What a great song, though. This went to like number 21 or something like that back in 66. And the end of this is also another track, but didn't really hop too well. But anyways, I Want You, what a great song. The Hollies do actually do a pretty good version of it. You know, they, what's it called? They do a version of it off of the Holly Sing Dylan from 69. Next song is Positively 4th Street. This is a single. This wasn't on any album. And what a great song, you know. I like the dee 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 dee. I like the keyboard style. And it goes on for like 4 or 5 minutes. And by the way, I do have this on cassette. Wish I could show you here, but I don't have it. So, and somewhere buried in the garage. But anyways, I really love, you know, Positively 4th Street. And I think it might be kind of loosely based on a true street, I think, an actual street in New York, I guess, or Minnesota, I don't know. It's a very nice poppy tune. It came out shortly after his Highway 61 Revisited and Like a Rolling Stone, his very big, gigantic hit. Then I think it went to number 23 or 24, I think, sometime in the fall of 65. Could be wrong. And the last song is Just Like a Woman. Just like a woman. That's a classic, just nice, lovely, ballady song, you know. That whole album, Blonde on Blonde, is it's so mixed with blues, and you got, you know, romance stuff, ballad stuff, and this went to number 33, so it's not too bad. Anyways, what a great song, you know, gotta love it. He still performs this live to this day. Just, oh my God, just classic. Anyways, that's it. Here's the back. There was, however, there was 2 more other Dylan greatest hits. one that came out in 71, and the picture was taken in Bangladesh in 1971. That featured, Mighty Quinn, all along the Watchtower, and Lay. But anyways, back in the day, you got the vinyl. Whoa, do I have this backward? Oh, no, it's not. Oh, if anybody can... You came with this poster, this psychedelic kind of, whatever poster representing Dylan for its time, later. That's pretty interesting. That I really enjoy that. And here it is. I'm not going to pop out the record, but here it is on the Columbia label for its time. So 67 was sort of an interesting period there for Dylan. He was also working on the Basement tapes for the band. Yeah, I'm not like a super duper duper fan of the band. There's maybe like a few songs I like from them. And, maybe one day I'll maybe listen to the Basement tapes or whatever and just see how good it is. Oh, my microphone fell. Oh, jeez. I apologize, folks. My microphone fell. Then towards the end of 1967, he came out with John Wesley Harding, and then, of course, the rest was history. Alright, that is it, everybody. That is my review of the greatest hits of Bob Dylan. Please let me know. This fascinating greatest hits. I see this everywhere in stores. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and have a great day.